Human beings have been searching for happiness for centuries, lifetime after lifetime, generation after generation. The search continues, and yet no one seems to have found a happiness that truly lasts. Still, the pursuit goes on. Isn't that strange? We keep running after something that has never stayed with anyone, and yet we chase it as if it were only one step away. When I say this, people often disagree. They say, but happiness does exist. We do experience it. And they're right. A child is born, and there is happiness. We fall in love, and there is happiness. We achieve success, and there is happiness. But then I ask a simple question. If happiness is truly found, why doesn't it stay? Before we can hold it, it slips through our fingers. And what remains afterward is often a pain greater than the happiness itself. The pain of having tasted something beautiful and then losing it. There was once a man who became wealthy overnight after winning a huge lottery. The first day, he celebrated endlessly, but a few days later, his wife found him sitting in silence. "What happened?" she asked. "You have everything now," the man replied. "I'm wondering what comes next." The very day he reached what he thought was the peak of happiness, dissatisfaction quietly entered. And this is not his story alone. It is the story of almost every human being. Whatever you long for, even if you finally get it, another question soon appears. What next? Happiness never becomes a full stop. It is only a comma. The sentence of desire continues. So the real question is not whether happiness exists. The real question is why it never lasts. And why is suffering so different? Why does it arrive without invitation and refuse to leave when asked? No one invites sorrow, yet suffering enters without knocking. Happiness, on the other hand, is constantly pursued. We pray for it, work for it, and spend our lives trying to attract it. And even when it comes, it stays only for a moment. Why? Because of a fundamental misunderstanding. We assume happiness is something outside us, something to be acquired, possessed, or achieved. That is why everyone is running. Some chase money, some power, some fame, some relationships, and some even chase spirituality. The worldly person says, if I gain wealth, I'll be happy. The monk says, if I renounce wealth, I'll be happy. One searches through possession, the other through renunciation. But both are searching, and the moment you begin searching, you have already assumed that what you're looking for is not already within you. That is the first mistake. There is an old story about Mulla Nasruddin. One night, he was searching under a street lamp for his lost key. A neighbor joined him and searched for a long time. Finally, the neighbor asked, "Are you sure this is where you dropped it?" Nasruddin replied, "No, I dropped it inside my house." The neighbor stared at him. "Then why are you searching here?" "Because there is light here," Nasruddin said. And that is exactly what human beings are doing. What has been lost is within, but we search outside because the outside is brightly lit. Money shines, success shines, status shines. The inner world appears dark and unfamiliar. Yet the key lost within can never be found outside. There is another mistake. We treat suffering as an enemy. The moment pain appears, we distract ourselves. We bury it beneath entertainment, work, relationships, or endless activity. Anything to avoid feeling it. But avoiding pain does not remove it. It only hides it. And hidden pain becomes more dangerous. My understanding is different. Suffering is not your enemy. Suffering is a messenger. It comes carrying a message. Something in the way you are living is out of alignment. Just as physical pain tells you that something is wrong in the body, emotional pain tells you that something is wrong in your inner life. The wise person listens to the message. Most people simply try to silence the messenger. A woman once came to me and said, "I am deeply unhappy. Tell me how to get rid of my suffering." I asked, "Do you know why you're suffering?" She said, "No." I replied, "That is the problem. You are so eager to remove the suffering that you haven't tried to understand it. Imagine your house is on fire. Instead of extinguishing the flames, you spend your time clearing away the smoke. Suffering is the smoke. Somewhere beneath it, a fire is burning, perhaps an unfulfilled desire, a hidden resentment, a lie you've told yourself, or a life that doesn't truly belong to you. The suffering is not the problem, it is the signal. Now comes something even deeper. We think happiness and suffering are opposites. One is good, the other bad. One should be welcomed, the other rejected. But they are not separate realities. They are two sides of the same coin. The heart that can experience great joy can also experience great sorrow. The more sensitive you become to one, the more sensitive you become to the other. Some people avoid suffering by becoming emotionally numb. They become like stone. Yes, they suffer less, but they also feel less joy. Nothing wounds them deeply, but nothing touches them deeply either. You want flowers without rain, love without vulnerability, and beauty without risk. Life doesn't work that way. The same soil that allows flowers to bloom must also endure storms. That is the price of being fully alive. Someone once asked the Buddha, "Does an enlightened person still experience pain?" Buddha replied, "Yes. If a thorn pierces the foot, both the enlightened and the ordinary person feel pain. The difference is that most people add a second thorn. The first thorn is the event itself. The second thorn is the mind's reaction. Why me? This shouldn't have happened." The first thorn creates pain. The second thorn creates suffering. The enlightened person experiences the first thorn but does not create the second. That is why their pain remains simple and temporary. If you trace suffering back to its root, you'll almost always find the same thing: expectation. You expected life to go one way. It went another. You expected someone to understand you. They didn't. You expected success to change everything. It didn't. The event itself is rarely the problem. The gap between reality and expectation is where suffering lives. Life unfolds as it unfolds. The mind insists it should be different. That collision creates pain. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means learning to see life as it is, rather than demanding it become what you imagined. A wise farmer plants seeds, waters them, cares for them, and then waits. He understands that growth has its own timing. He does what he can and leaves the rest to existence. That is the difference between a restless mind and a peaceful one. One clings to outcomes. The other lives fully in action. Now, you may ask, should we stop seeking happiness altogether? No. What needs to change is not the desire for happiness, but the direction of the search. Stop looking outward. Turn inward. The peace you are chasing has never been absent. It has only been hidden beneath noise. The sun is always present behind the clouds. When the clouds pass, the sun appears again. In the same way, your inner peace is already there. What hides it are the clouds of desire, comparison, jealousy, ambition, fear, and endless mental noise. You do not need to create the sun. You only need the clouds to move away. That is why meditation is so important. Meditation is not about gaining something new. It is about becoming quiet enough to discover what has always been there. Imagine a lake disturbed by strong winds. The water becomes muddy and the bottom cannot be seen. But when the wind stops, the waves settle, the mud sinks, and the water becomes clear. Suddenly, the pearl at the bottom becomes visible. The pearl was never missing, it was only hidden. Your mind is that lake. Thoughts are the wind, desires are the waves, anxiety is the mud. When all of it settles, the treasure within reveals itself naturally. You don't have to search for it. You only have to become still enough to see it. So remember, happiness is not something outside you. It is your deepest nature. Suffering is not an enemy. It is a messenger. Joy and sorrow are two colors painted by the same sensitivity. And the root of suffering is not life's events. It is the expectations we place upon them. That's all for today.